Cool. Thank you for having me. My name is Isaiah Smalls. I'm with the Miami Herald. I appreciate your time. I just have a couple quick questions for you. Uh, so the first, I guess the film begins with each of these larger than life figures being taken down a peg, if you will. Why start there?
Because I think the overall thing that we wanted to do was to two things: humanize them and look at them as men, take the titles away, and just out of respect for the legends, help to remind people that while they did extraordinary things in their lives, they are men first, and that they have fears and concerns, and they're vulnerable, and to see how they uh, celebrate and within this brotherhood to do that, we needed to start by putting them in a space where that we all are familiar with. We're all familiar with that disappointment that you get when you have been reminded that you are not my equal in my mind. And especially Black people, we know that feeling oh too well. And for me, it was really important that Black men see themselves when they watch this film, and that was the entry point to allow that.
Definitely, definitely. So the Hampton House really acts as like a fifth star, if you will. How are you able to bring it alive on screen, and what went into making sure it was accurately depicted?
Well, we definitely took some artistic license because, we have these, we want it to be visually pleasing as well as, sonically pleasing with the dialogue. And so we, decided to make the room bigger. I felt like that there was the moments that needed to feel claustrophobic. I wanted to be able to control when those moments happen, opposed to it feeling claustrophobic throughout. Um, we decided that it was very important that the men always look good in this room. And in order to do that, we took a big risk and completed the set at the last minute because we wanted to see each man, each man, each actor in front of different colors of wood and green to make sure all four complexions that the choice complemented all four complexions. So I think that helped to make a difference. But just things like the exterior, the sign, and the breeze block, those things were actual aesthetics that existed at the actual Hampton House. So keeping that color palette consistent with what the Hampton House was at that time.
Did you make any trips to Miami to kind of, I guess, see it firsthand?
No, I didn't. Miami 2020, 2019 was not Miami 1964.
Of
So
course, of
it
course.
was just keeping my, the thing that's interesting is we've got this beautiful thing now called Google where you can quickly access
Yeah.
historical moments quickly. So, whereas, back when I first started working, as an actor, if I'm studying or to get ready for a part, you got to go to a library. You
Mhm.
got to make phone calls and see if somebody knows somebody that knows somebody. So yeah, that's what I a lot of Google.
So speaking of that claustrophobia, I noticed that both Jim and Muhammad Ali, they go into the bathroom, look into the mirror during times when Sam and Malcolm are arguing. Is that part of that claustrophobia that you mentioned, or am I reading too deep
Yeah,
into
that
that?
was, definitely a choice to be with Jim. There's during the table read, I'm always watching my actors. I'm watching. I'm paying attention to the lines and turning the pages, but I'm watching to see what they're doing. And Aldous was just well, although it was a table read, he really, really understood the nuance moments. And, you know, I said to Kemp, you know, we there's such a long period of time when Jim isn't speaking, but I'm keep going to him. I keep going to him, and I want to hear the words through Jim. And so made the decision to bring him away, but still hear what was going on.
So the film, what I really liked about it is that it did a great job, you know, managing each of these almost, you know, mythological characters. As you said, you know, you wanted to humanize them. I guess what went into making sure, you know, that they did appear human, other than like that first that the first little entry point where we see kind of where they are in their lives?
Well, a lot of it fell on the actors, you know, their understanding that this was what they were doing was not impersonations of these men, and them just really understanding, again, like I said, with Aldous, the importance of um, the, the, the nuanced moments and just little things. They each one of them could come up with things that they had discovered that the men that they were playing would do to infuse into the character. And while they'd be subtle things, just well, little body language, um, their laughs. Um, uh, Kingsley playing Malcolm, laughing in moments with his body, um, whereas quite all of those little things I think made a difference.
So I think the film is extremely poignant considering the Capitol attack earlier this week. What do you want someone who's not, you know, been active in the fight for social equality to take away from this?
Well, hopefully it's a call to action, and hopefully as they're seeing the conversation is going on between Sam and Malcolm, that they understand that it's both ways need to exist in order to affect change. So hopefully people will be able to take the moment to discover within themselves what it is that they can do.
And so I know you've been asked, I'm sure you've probably been asked a lot about why you chose this as your film directorial debut. So I won't bore you with that. However, I do want to ask, you know, when you look for a project and you're going to choose one that you want to direct, you know, what goes into that process? What will stand out to you?
What's going on down there, dude? Because it's driving me crazy.
I have a puppy, and he's like, he just got into something, and it's, oh my gosh, it's annoying. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm about to say, yeah, put him on your lap.
Yeah, I apologize. But so kind of what do you look for in a film, in choosing a film that you're going to direct, I guess, and how does that differ, or does it differ from the films you choose while being an actor?
It doesn't differ at all. The same thing that goes into I'm not really necessarily looking at a piece or reading something, whether I'm developing it into a script, or whether it's a script that's coming my way. I'm not going into it as, what can I do to move people? I'm looking at it, reading it as an audience of one. How does it make me feel? And if I feel like that there is some bit of heart that I can grab onto as an audience member, that's when it becomes interesting to me.
And the last question I have for you, because I know I'm nearing the end of the time. So what I loved about this film was, I think you did a great job showcasing Malcolm's humanity. As you said, I think you know, him, out of all the characters, I guess if you're thinking about who they are, I guess in the test of time, I think he's the one that in my opinion is like the biggest, you know, seemingly mythological character, because like, you know, it's just his entire life story. I mean, I remember reading the autobiography of Malcolm X in high school and just my mind being blown. So and I think it's the best, you know, depiction of him since, you know, Malcolm X, the actual movie. So, you know, kind of talk to me a little bit about the subtle elements you chose to showcase his humanity. For example, the call to his daughter, I think, is the one that stands out in my mind. But yeah, just, you know, what kind of went into making sure that he was depicted, and what went into his depiction, I guess.
Right. Well, it's interesting. I think almost every person that I've spoken to in my entire life, when they read the autobiography of Malcolm X, it was life-changing in some way. And most of us read it around that time, somewhere between 16 and 25, you know. We read it. And the thing that struck for me is that in that book, while he was just kind of larger than life, um, we are getting it through the story through his voice and Alatelli's voice. But then upon embarking on this film, I got the opportunity to reconnect with Ambassador Shabazz, Malcolm's eldest daughter. And in our conversations, we were talking about a lot of things. We weren't just, you know, only talking about her father, but one thing that I was left with is, you know, the feeling that people forget that he is their father and was Betty's husband, and that he laughed and he told jokes and he was loving. And so that's how I ended up putting that moment with his daughter in, because I felt like anyone, even if you're not a parent, there's just a special place in our heart when we see a parent parenting with love, you know. And we don't get an opportunity to see Malcolm that way. Whenever we see Malcolm portrayed, it's always the more intense version, or either we're seeing clips of him on stage, as Jim says, all fire and brimstone. But Kingsley pointed out when he read some things that Dick Gregory had written about Malcolm, how Dick always spoke about Malcolm being a person that smiled and joked. And that to me was a great way to capture that quickly. And so when you see Malcolm smiling with his daughter and his body kind of, that tension goes out, you know. When you see Malcolm on the roof, when you see Cash is being sensitive to this intense moment that Malcolm's in, and you see him breathing out, while they're little moments, they remind us of the man that he was and the sacrifices that he made and the things that he had to give up to bang for us, you know.
And especially as just him being a Black father, I think that's important too, to showcase that. So yeah, you did a great job with that. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time. And I think your birthday is on Friday, so I guess happy early birthday, I guess.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Well, good luck with the dog. They look like you might have a chewer on your hands. So
yeah, definitely.